Papia Begum, a villager in South Bangladesh whose home was destroyed in a 2007 cyclone, is the beneficiary of a rebuilt cyclone-resistant home. The money to pay for it coming from a fund created by her own government to assist the poor in adapting to the effects of climate change.
Bangladesh is giving funds for adaptation and little bit for mitigation to show the world that Bangladesh can do.
But Ms. Begum sounds less than grateful. The roof cracked within a year, she says. How can we live here? She says that during the monsoons, she and her family are forced to live in a neighbor's shed. The people who built this must have played a joke on us, she says. At the ongoing climate talks in Paris, funding for so-called climate adaptation and mitigation is no joke. Developing nations are demanding that the developed world help pay for a range of climate-resilient infrastructure, including storm-proof housing, flood-resistant roads, and an array of levees and dikes to hold back the sea. Rich countries are negotiating the terms of a pledge to provide up to $100 billion a year to help tackle climate change. On the so-called mitigation side, it will pay for solar panels, wind farms, and other renewable energy projects. The goal here is to limit the developing world's carbon dioxide emissions, which would otherwise soar as their populations emerge from poverty. On the adaptation front, the fund will help build infrastructure to protect the world's most vulnerable populations from rising sea levels, more frequent and intense storms, and other effects of climate change. In Bangladesh, the government says millions are at risk of losing their land due to rising sea levels. Its self-funded $300 million fund has paid for salt-tolerant rice to help with the problem of seawater flooding fields, improved flood defenses, and climate-adaptive housing. But the condition of these housing projects, several years after they were built, appears to reflect some of the concerns being voiced in Paris, that the money might go towards weak institutions, inefficient delivery systems, and result in corruption. Bangladesh's Director of Disaster Management blames complaints about the condition of the cyclone-resistant houses on lack of monitoring at the local level. He says we'll take action, including confiscation of contractor security deposits and blacklisting them if necessary. But in several villages up and down the coast, local people say officials didn't consult with them on projects and claim construction was substandard. Sushil Kumar Sarkar, a farmer, says the cyclone-resistant houses in the area had initially been built without walls, just 4 pillars and a roof. He and his wife refused to live in the house, afraid that the roof might collapse on them. Instead, they live in a mud hut nearby. Government officials say that the open design would help make the houses cyclone-proof and says the issue has been resolved. First, there was a decision to build them without walls.
And then when the people demanded they need wall,
the houses were changed.